Hey, thanks for checking out my video. Chris here from Meditations on the Tarot. Today I wanted to talk about Cinnabar, or the Philosopher's Stone. Cinnabar is a bright red to brick in color, and Cinnabar is what's known as Mercury sulfide. The name Cinnabar and Cinnabarite likely derived from the ancient Greek, from the philosopher Theophrastus. Cinnabar is the most common ore for refining elemental mercury. Historically, cinnabar has been used as a pigment. So before we could create elemental mercury with cinnabar, we were able to use cinnabar as a pigment. Cinnabar generally occurs as a vein-filling mineral and is associated with recent volcanic activity and alkaline hot springs. Cinnabar resembles quartz in its symmetry and has been used as a pigment since antiquity and is used to color Chinese stoneware. To produce liquid mercury or quicksilver, crushed cinnabar ore is roasted in a rotary furnace, and the gas that comes off of that ore is collected using a condensing column, and that gas is collected and that is liquid mercury. Mercury is very poisonous. It can cause shaking and loss of senses and death. And there are two ways to get the mercury out of the cinnabar. There's a wet way and a dry way. There's one way that you use heat, and there's one way that you use chemicals. So they're two different processes. And much like the Mad Hatters went crazy from the mercury that was in the glue that they were using, alchemists often suffered from madness when they were trying to find the Philosopher's Stone. In the New World, cinnabar has been used since the Olmec culture, and it was used in royal burial chambers during the Mayan civilization. Most dramatically, cinnabar was found in the tomb of the Red Queen, about 600 to 700 AD. That's the remains of a noble woman, and all of the objects in her sarcophagus were completely covered in this red powdered cinnabar. The Chinese use cinnabar in their carved lacquerware, and the lacquer itself may have made the cinnabar less toxic by encapsulating the pigment within the lacquer. Cinnabar is also known as the merchant stone, or the stone of prosperity, the stone of manifestation, and cinnabar stimulates your root chakra and your third chakra. Cinnabar also stimulates your kundalini energy. Cinnabar affects your pineal gland or third eye, and also helps with envisioning, so the stone of manifestation. Quite recently, there was a pool of liquid mercury found beneath a pyramid in Teotihuacan. And we knew that they were using cinnabar for color because we found cinnabar in Teotihuacan, but they sent in a robot underneath of the pyramid, and they found a pool of liquid mercury. So very interesting, what the purpose of that might be for. There are two major forms of cinnabar. The first is the alpha form, which is a mercury ore, like I have in my hand here, or a cinnabar crystals. And then there's also the black form, which is very rare, and that's called metacinnabar. And I believe that's what the black philosopher's stone that Fulcanelli talks about is. And cinnabar deposits are very rare, but unlike maybe moldavite, where it's just found in one area, cinnabar deposits are found all over the world. And Peru has one of the largest deposits in Huancavelica, and also there's a large deposit in Almadén, Spain. Where I live in Oregon, there is a Horse Heaven mercury mine that was mined from the 1930s to the late 1940s. And I have an example piece of cinnabar from there, and we'll do a close-up on these pieces so I can show them to you when I'm done. The alchemists believe in three main alchemical elements. There's the salt, which is like leftover deposits, these incorruptible solids. And then there's the mercury and the sulfur, which would be like the essential oils or the alcohols. And these two are incorruptible. That they don't go bad, right? So when we talk about cinnabar, cinnabar is a salt of mercury sulfide. So it really is all three in one. It's a salt, it's a mercury, and it's a sulfur. And cinnabar can use to dissolve sulfur. It's very interesting. When the Spanish began to mine cinnabar, they found that the mines and even mining tools, there had been someone there before them mining for cinnabar, and liquid mercury that you get from cinnabar is used for the amalgamation process. And before it was used for amalgamation, it was used as a coloring for makeup and paint, coloring different stoneware, but the amalgamation process is possible through liquid mercury. So you take liquid mercury, and amalgamation means that you're able to take the liquid mercury and use it to create gold from low-grade ores. You might have a low-grade ore with a 2% gold, but through using liquid mercury, you're able to get that gold out of it. And in that way, it really is the Philosopher's Stone. You really can use this stone to make gold. They use this stone to make liquid mercury, which is how they do the amalgamation process to get gold out of low-grade ores. So it truly is the Philosopher's Stone. I wanted to read. This is the Rosicrucian Digest, number 91, the Alchemy issue, and this is an article called "The Philosopher's Stone" by Dennis William Houck, Ph.D. Dennis William Houck is the project curator of the new Alchemy Museum to be built at Rosicrucian Park in San Jose, California. He is an author and alchemist working to facilitate personal and planetary transformation through the application of the ancient principles of alchemy. So Dennis William Houck, he says, "The Philosopher's Stone was the key to success in alchemy and had many uses. Not only could it instantly transmute any metal into gold, but it was the alkahest, or universal solvent, which dissolved every substance immersed in it and immediately extracted its quintessence, or active essence. The stone was also used in the preparation of the grand elixir, and aurum potable, which is drinkable gold, and remedies that would regenerate the human body. Because the Philosopher's Stone carried the purified life force, it could also be used to create artificial living beings called homunculi. It is important to remember that the stone was not just a philosophical possibility or symbol to alchemists. Both Eastern and Western alchemists believe it was a tangible physical object they could create in their laboratories. The idea probably originated with the observation that some precious metals could be obtained from the ores of base metals. For instance, silver is often obtained from galena, the ore of lead. Also, the preparation of metal alloys and chemicals that imparted the characteristics of gold to other metals suggested there might be a single agent that would perfect any metal. Another inspiration for the concept of the Philosopher's Stone came from the theory of the four elements and the possibility of changing one element into another by manipulating their qualities. For instance, water, with the qualities of moist and cold, could be turned into air, steam, by changing its qualities into moist and hot through boiling. Or water could be turned into earth, as in solid ice, by transforming its qualities into cold and dry by freezing. The power of the Philosopher's Stone to transform anything lies in its fundamental ability to connect through all levels of above and below, spirit and matter, light and darkness. Surprisingly, we know quite a bit about what the Philosopher's Stone looked like. It was dark red in color and resembled a common irregular stone or glass crystal. The material of which the stone was made was the same red powder of projection so prized by the alchemists. The blood red color of the stone was its chief physical characteristic and showed up on many alchemical drawings as the rosy cross, the red king, and the red dragon. All of these represent the Philosopher's Stone. The oldest cipher for the Philosopher's Stone is also the sign for Cinnabar. It originated in the Middle Ages and depicts the cross of the elements raised to their highest level. Cinnabar is a naturally occurring mineral that unites sulfur and mercury sulfide. It often appears as a red stone or in a beautiful trigonal red crystal that forms on white crystalline dolomite. And here's some of that. Here's some of that cinnabar on a white crystal dolomite here. If you heat the stone in an open fire, drops of pure mercury metal sometimes ooze out of the cracks. The name cinnabar probably originated with the Greek philosopher Theophrastus, who was born around 370 BCE. Another cipher for the Philosopher's Stone looks like the sign of Solomon. It probably originated in the late Middle Ages and depicts the union of the elements, fire with the upward pointing triangle, and water with the downward pointing triangle. This is a sacred marriage in alchemy, the merging of fire and water below and above, masculine and feminine, the archetypal king and queen. The third cipher for the Philosopher's Stone first appeared in the early Renaissance. It depicts the squaring of the circle, which is a formula for the creation of the stone. The recipe for it was first revealed in the Rosicrucian text Rosarium in 1550. Make a circle out of a man and woman. Derive from it a square, and from the square a triangle. Make a circle, and you will have the Philosopher's Stone. The square is a symbol of masculine consciousness and signifies earth and the four elements. It is the four-square mindset of logic and the aggressive energy of spirit. The circle is a symbol of feminine consciousness, the unitary impulse to contain and nurture. It is the all-inclusive mindset of intuition, empathy, and the passive energy of soul. The triangle is the cipher for fire, which is the agent of transformation in alchemy. Interestingly, black dirt has been associated with the first matter since ancient Egypt. In fact, the word alchemy is derived from the Arabic alchemy, which means from the black dirt of the Nile Delta. Many reports of the creation of the Philosopher's Stone exist among Arabian and European alchemists. The preparation of the Philosopher's Stone. According to alchemical literature, there are two ways to create the Philosopher's Stone: the wet way and the dry way. The wet way, or humid way, uses natural processes and is more gradual and safer than the dry way, which relies on intense heat and powerful chemicals to achieve the stone in a shorter amount of time. The cipher of the stone. The most powerful cipher in all of alchemy is a rather odd-looking glyph that looks like a little stick man. It is a symbol of the Philosopher's Stone and is said to incorporate some of the powers of the stone whenever it is drawn. In other words, the cipher is said to carry its own spirit or intelligence, which is evoked every time it is written down or constructed. The name of that cipher is the hieroglyphic monad, and it was created by the British Rosicrucian Dr. John Dee. The Mona Hieroglyphica. In describing the power of Dee's cipher, Hermetic researcher Tobias Churton wrote in his book The Gnostics, "If one can imagine a great ocean of the first matter, then we are seeing the beginning of the universe. If a hand were to, as it were, drop the cipher of the hieroglyphic monad into that ocean of infinite possibilities, the first matter would immediately start forming itself into the universe we imagine we know today." The heart of the monad and the one cipher that encompasses all the others is Mercury. In alchemy, Mercury stands for the principle of transformation itself. As can be verified in the geometry of the monad, Mercury is part of all of the metals and the elements of alchemy and melds them together as one. Dee embedded the spirit of Mercury at the heart of his master symbol and believed he had successfully captured the essences of the archetypal elements and metals. Dee even wrote a private unpublished book explaining in detail the workings of his monad for his fellow alchemists. In the inventory of his massive library was a description of that book. However, Dee's secret book on the monad was destroyed when a mob of Anglican fundamentalists broke into his home and burned his entire library. According to Dee, his commentaries on the monad were not necessary to grasp its power. "He who devotes himself sincerely to these mysteries," he said, will see clearly that nothing is able to exist without the virtue of our hieroglyphic monad. But he also gave a strong warning to anyone who would attempt to master his proof. Whoever does not understand should either learn or be silent. And this article was taken from The Complete Idiot's Guide to Alchemy by Dennis William Houck. And if you haven't checked out Dennis William Houck on YouTube, I would definitely recommend that. was recommended to me by some friends, and he's got some great presentations there on YouTube. So let's take a look at a couple of pieces of Cinnabar and some liquid mercury up close. Here are some examples of Cinnabar. These are Cinnabar crystals that are growing on a white dolomite. And it's very beautiful. And here's another piece of the same. That's a Cinnabar crystal, and it's growing on a white dolomite. This piece has been cut to show the veins of Cinnabar that are running through this. So this is like a matrix piece here, where this is like a vein filling type thing going on, which is a different process than these crystals here. And this is what Cinnabar ore looks like, where it's just kind of this blackish with a little bit of red color, but it's not as deep as the Cinnabar crystals. And this is what they crush up. This is Cinnabar ore. They crush this up and apply heat to it or chemicals, and that's how they create liquid mercury. This is an example of a finished and polished piece of Cinnabar, and this comes from the Horse Heaven mine in Oregon, which is a ghost town now, but which was in operation from the 30s to the 1950s here in Oregon. And this is an example of what liquid mercury looks like. I'm not sure how good you can see that. And that's the chemical symbol for liquid mercury, is capital H, lowercase g, and capital S. So that's what liquid mercury looks like. It's like a metal, but it's at room temperature. It's a liquid. So if you like my presentation today, if you like my video, please like, share, and subscribe. I really appreciate you sharing with your friends. That'd be great. Help me get my YouTube channel off the ground. It'd be awesome. Thanks again for checking out my video, and have a good day. L.V.X.